How you doing? So here are my thoughts when it comes to Karnak's buff. So I'll post down the link below for the buff gameplay. So here are just my thoughts thinking about his buff. I think for skill players, people who are really good at the game, Karnak's buff is gonna be a really good addition for them. If you can last really long, for long fights, and you can especially your ability to counter with a special, with heavy attack, you're gonna be really good when it comes to long fights, and you can counter with a heavy attack. You know, Something I stated before even the buff came live. Karate Mike's was going over the buff details, so I commented on his YouTube channel. I think Karnak, if he was 100% poison resistance, and that was probably the biggest thing that I was a little disappointed when it comes to Karnak's buff that he's not 100% poison resistant. But if he was 100% poison resistant, he would easily be top 5 in the skill class. And a lot of people in the comment section, yeah, not even if he was 100% poison resistant, he would be in the top 5. A lot of people were saying, yeah, no way. And and I did mention that I think his buff currently now, not being 100% poison resistant, I think it's still pretty decent. I don't think it's game changing. And actually, somebody else noticed Karnak's buff before I did. He said that I think that his this person commented to me that I think Karnak's buff is more than decent, and this person is right. I think Karnak's buff is more than decent, but I did say to that person, yeah, I think you're right. His buff is more than decent. But I stated that, and if you in long fights, Karnak can be really good if you're a skill player, especially if you can counter with a heavy attack. And really, that's the big thing. Is it does require a lot of skills for Karnak to be really good for his buff, because you need to last for long fights, and you need to be able to, because you need to be able to stack the furies. Second, you need to be able to have the skill to counter with a heavy attack. So biggest cons I would like to say when it comes to Karnak's buff, then I'll move to the pros, is when it comes to his SP2. So his SP2, he gains a fury, but it only max out at 5. Only at 5 it max out, which does not make any sense. Because you have like, what is this? Hella that can go up to like 99 furies. And you got, I think Hulk can go, She-Hulk can get to at least 50 furies, you know, or at least 50 furies, if not 99 furies. Black Bolt can what? Goes up to 13 permanent furies, not just permanent. I believe they're permanent and they can go up to 13. So I don't understand the fact that it's not even permanent. If it was permanent, I would be happy with it. Actually, I would prefer it to be permanent and max stack 5. But since it's not permanent, it should not be 5 at max, It should, at least 10 or something. I don't even know if you can get to 10, but it should be at least 10. 5 is just not enough for him. For, that was probably the biggest disappointment I have when it comes to his buff, other than being 100%, not being 100% poison resistant. So let's look at the pros when it comes to his buff. So I look at the pros when it comes to Karnak's buff. His damage is about twice as he was pre-buff. It does require a little bit of skill for you to be able to get that double the damage than he is pre-buff. But he can even be 3 times, he could even be triple the damage in certain fights. If you can last long fights and you have the skill to be able to maintain like 5 Furies with Karnak, you can counter with heavy attacks like a Red Hulk LOL is perfect for that fight. You can like literally triple the damage. I mean, I think I saw a 5-star Karnak. You know, I think he's one of the YouTubers. I think it's called his YouTube name is Nick136. He was able to beat Winter Soul, LOL Realm of Legends in like 3 minutes, and like it was like 132 hits, if not less. I mean, the only 5-star that can do more damage than that is obviously Hela with Odin Synergy and Nick Fury. I don't think any champion other than those champions can do more damage than with a 5-star, with that many hits, with that speed, other than Nick Fury and Hala with the Odin Synergy. So that's pretty amazing buff. The fact that he's also 65% poison resistant. Not only he did it in like 3 minutes with a 5-star and 132 hits, um, he also finished with 100% health. Okay, name me a champion in the game that could finish with 100% health. You know, okay, I guess Diablo can too with passive poison. So yeah, okay, with the exception of Diablo, I guess uh, the only champion I can think of that can finish the whole fight with 100% health in that time span. So as a 5-star, but uh, but still not many, right? Other than Diablo that can finish it with 100% health in that time span. So his buff is pretty good overall. I mean, let's look at the pros. I think his damage is double than what it used to be, triple, and you know, for skill fighters in the right matches, up to 3 times the damage he was pre-buff. His damage wise increase. But let's look at the that's number one. His damage has been doubled, if not triple, in the right case, in the right scenario. Number I'm just looking at all the ones that are really important buffs for Karnak. Uh, Obviously, his heavy attack is very important. You can like know how to counter with heavy attack because he gains critical damage rating and he can reduce block proficiency by 50%. And these can stack, which is really great because once you can stack like 4 or 5 of them, you can just hit the opponent in the block and they hit pretty hard. And they can also crit after after 2 charges with the focus charge. And also when it comes to having 3 focus, he does some pretty, it's nothing really significant. It's it's only 35% extra damage and happens only 50% of the time. Not only that, these are only basic attacks. So it's extra damage, but it's nothing game changing, but it's better than nothing. It's a plus. So it does, as I mentioned, it gains critical damage from heavy attacks and reduce block proficiency for 50%. His special one, True Strike, is now much easier to maintain compared to pre-buff. You are definitely sacrificing some damage there if you spam the SP1 against opponents that can evade or auto block, but it's definitely a nice thing to have. Be able to spam as having True Strike, and the fact that it's much easier now compared to pre-buff is really good. Obviously, like gaining Fury on SP2 is nice. Only wish it wasn't like max, stack of 5. And what else? I think his signature. Oh yeah, when it comes to his signature ability, is now on his kit. He's now 65% uh, poison resistant unawakened. Before you have to be awakened, and his incoming non-damaging debuff as well. And at 60%, it has to be at max sig. So as a 5 or 6 star. So that's really nice. So post buff, he's basically what he had pre buff at max sig, which is nice. And what else? When it comes to his new signature ability, it's actually pretty nice. It's not necessarily, but it's good. You start with 1 focus charge, and you ignore 100% opponent's positive physical resistance. Probably the best part is be able to strike an opponent's block. Karnak gains 110% at max 6. So it's really nice. The fact that you can just hit the opponent in the block, it's great, especially when you're like, you know, let's say the opponent has 3 bars of power, you have 2 bars of power, or close, and you're close to a third bar power. You're like, you do your 5 hit combo, and you're like get to a special 3, and hopefully that will knock out the opponent. So you could be life saving. Uh, uh, what do you call that? Ability for Karnak. So I think overall his buff is good. For skill players, Karnak is going to be really good. He's definitely going to be underrated because he requires a lot of skill to play with. But I think it's going to be fun, especially for skill players to play with Karnak. Those are my opinion. He seems like smooth to play. So what do you think about Karnak's buff? I think it's really good. The only thing is it's gonna be underrated for a lot of people because it requires a lot of skills. Thank you.